Hey y'all, it's K-Bird Tweets, and this is Peace, Love, and Baseball. Welcome back to Peace, Love, and Baseball. I'm your host, Kelsey, aka K-Bird Tweets. It's great to have you with me for another episode to dive into different aspects of the game that we love and so much more. Make sure that you are following at K-Bird Tweets down here in the corner if you're watching on YouTube. On Twitter, that's KBURD Tweets. You can like our Instagram account at peace.love.baseball. I guess that would be you could follow our Instagram account, right? But we're on Instagram. We are also on Facebook, have a Facebook page, Peace, Love, and Baseball. And make sure that you subscribe if you are watching on YouTube or find us on the YouTube. It is the K-Bird Tweets Peace, Love, and Baseball YouTube channel. And you will never miss an episode. Those thumbs up, those comments, sharing with friends, always super appreciated, super helpful. And we are quickly approaching 100 episodes, if you can believe it, of Peace, Love, and Baseball. This is actually our 98th regular episode, so not including the bonus Cardinals content. With that included, we've done like 110 episodes or something already. So I've got to get something fun and special in the works to celebrate 100. Stay tuned for that. Today, we've got to talk about the other 7 teams in Major League Baseball this season that have been eliminated prior to the final week of the 2024 season. The final game of the regular season for Major League Baseball for 2024 is Sunday, September 29th, so less than a week away. And these teams that we're going to talk about today have all been officially eliminated from postseason play, or we have a couple that have less than 1% chance of playoff odds. So they're likely to be eliminated officially by the time this episode actually comes out tomorrow. Last week, we talked about a reason to keep watching some of the worst teams, the bottom 8 teams in 2024 through the end of the season, along with featuring their Roberto Clemente nominee. And this week, there is only 6 or 7 games left for each of these teams. So I thought instead of, talking about why to keep watching them, since there's not a whole lot of time left and you're kind of like either going to watch them or you're not, we would incorporate a fun fall festivities theme and suggest a fun fall activity to give you a little inspiration for your fall adventures. It's that time of year around the country, no matter where you are, whether the weather is changing, or it's not so much. We all have our different versions of fall wherever you're at in the world. And these teams might benefit from, or it seems like this would be like their vibe. That's kind of how we've assigned the fall activity. And I keep saying we, and I mean like me and my dog, producer June, that work here in Peace, Love, and Baseball. But since these teams are going to have plenty of time on their hands in October, thought we'd suggest some fall fun for them. And I'm as basic as they come, and I am not sorry about it. I love fall. It's my favorite. Love a little chill in the air here on the East Coast where I'm at, and had that where I grew up and spent the rest of my life in the Midwest as well. And then we're also going to continue to shout out the Roberto Clemente nominees and highlight their causes for these teams specifically as well. So we got plenty to get to, right? Let's kick it off with the Toronto Blue Jays, who are the next worst team that we didn't cover last week. It looks like they are definitely going to finish under 500. And it's sad business for the Toronto Blue Jays. But I think the Toronto Blue Jays as a team, it would serve them well to maybe get together around the breakfast table in October, have a classic fall brunch with some pumpkin pancakes. And of course I thought of pancakes because they've got that Canadian maple syrup up there in Toronto. So I actually don't know if there's like maple syrup specifically made in Toronto. Just generalizing here. Sorry, Canadians, if you're listening. I actually found out this past week I went to a winery here in New Jersey. There's lots of good wineries in New Jersey. I'm very into it. But I found out from the staff at the winery that there is a distillery nearby where they produce their own maple syrup. So that's the other reason why maple syrup is specifically on my brain. But don't you see like Bo Bichette and Vladdy sitting around having a classic fall brunch together? I feel like them and their families would really enjoy that. They've got some good vibes, some good camaraderie. Dalton Varsho, one of the best outfielders in baseball. Like, they've got some good pieces. It's time for them to like sit back and let their front office figure it out in the off season, and they're just going to enjoy a fall brunch together. And Chris Bassett is definitely going to be there enjoying it with them. He is their Roberto Clemente nominee for 2024. Chris and his wife Jessica, they embraced their new team, a new country, and a community by creating what they call Bassett's Pitch In, which is an initiative that supports children facing barriers and helps them find a sense of belonging through sport. Since the start of the 2023 season, when Bassett joined the Blue Jays, the Bassetts pledged to donate 10,000 US dollars, not to be confused with Canadian dollars, but 10,000 US dollars for every game that Chris pitches and the Blue Jays win. Additionally, the Bassetts have also called upon fans to, quote, pitch in, pun intended, along with them and support the initiative. With the program now in its second season, the Bassett family and supporters have donated nearly 300,000 US dollars to Bassett's Pitch In, and this number continues to grow as the 2024 season continues. They also support the Jays Care Foundation, which is the Blue Jays charitable organization, and its Nike RBI Summer Edition program, which is a free sport for development program designed to enhance the mental and physical health of kids in under-resourced communities in Toronto. So all kinds of stuff that Chris is doing to impact his community there. And the commitment from Chris and his wife has enabled this program to grow 40% since 2023, impacting nearly 5,000 young people living in under-resourced communities. That's pretty amazing. Chris Bassett, very deserving nominee of the Roberto Clemente Award for the Toronto Blue Jays. Enjoy those pumpkin pancakes, Chris. I'm going to be doing plenty of that this September and October. Moving on to the San Francisco Giants, who are going to miss the postseason yet again. I think this is an organization we see maybe some change coming into the front office. Certainly some missing pieces there that they've been trying to grasp onto for the last few seasons. But you know what I think the Giants need to do, and this is, again, an under-researched here, but I think the Giants as a team, since they're not going to be playing in October, I think they should tailgate a San Francisco 49ers game, right? Like, football tailgates, big fall October activity. The weather is still nice enough, probably even in San Francisco, right? I don't know what the weather, like, is it that different? My idea of the weather in San Francisco is that it's just like always 65 degrees and not usually sunny. But I've only been there once, so I really don't know. What is fall like in San Francisco? I also don't know much about the 49ers. I know that I shouldn't say I know. I feel like I hear that they're usually good. And I don't know. I think it would just be good for a team that I know that they have at least had more success recently than the San Francisco Giants. So the Giants, again, seems like they've got some good pieces. They've got some good guys out there. The vibes don't seem totally off. It's just the organizational approach to how they're using these guys is a little off, maybe. So they need to take their fun elsewhere and just kind of gel as a team, watching another team play, have some good off-the-field fun. I think it would be good for the Giants as a team to go to a sporting event that they're not playing in, that they can just have fun in, and like remember what enjoying a sport is all about, right? Want them to feel like kids again, but maybe with a few more beers at a 49ers game. Mike Yastrzemski is a guy you might know that plays for the San Francisco Giants, and He goes by Yaz, or is referred to as Yaz, on the San Francisco Giants and amongst baseball fans. He participated in the Mustache May trend, which was initially to catch the, quote, good luck that a mustache brought one of his former teammates while enduring a slump of play and mental health struggles in 2021 as a result of the stress and strain of the game of baseball. What started as a fun month-long tradition for Yaz turned into an annual awareness initiative. In 2022, with the help and support of his wife, Paige, and his teammates, Mustache May became a formal awareness campaign with a focus to give back to the community and bring attention to mental health, recognizing the challenges professional athletes face and showcasing resources available to players and fans alike. The San Francisco Giants have been one of the leaders in Major League Baseball, I feel like, for the mental health message. And it's really cool. There's all sorts of things that they have done. And I'm forgetting his last name, but they have a player in their organization named Drew, who, I mean, his story is crazy. I'll link, David Sampson did an interview with him a year or so ago, and I'm going to link that interview in the show notes here. But I believe that they talk more about Yastrzemski and his teammates and their help with this initiative in that interview as well. But with a personal connection to and as a strong advocate for the support of veterans as well, Yaz knew that there was an increased need for mental health services for our military, veterans, and their families. So 100% of the proceeds from his Mustache May merchandise go to support the Heart and Armor Foundation, which aims to protect the health of veterans and connect civilians to the experiences of military service, specifically with research and programs around mental wellness. So incredibly important. So awesome that he has sought out and really honed in on this specific cause. Mustache May not only raises money, but it also drives conversations around important issues, which we know can be just as important as the money part of it, helping to reduce the stigma and encourage proactive approaches to challenges like mental health. Love to hear about it, Yaz. That is your 2024 Roberto Clemente nominee for the San Francisco Giants. It's time to talk about the Cincinnati Reds, folks. The Cincinnati Reds, they fired their manager, David Bell, yesterday, I believe, September 22nd. So they're going to play the last, I think they have 5 games left, the Reds. They're going to play the rest of their season without a manager. I did hear rumblings, folks, that the Cincinnati Reds organization is interested in my guy Skip Schumacher, which we talked about last week, which I think is very smart for the Reds. I don't like that for me, personally, as a Cardinals fan. I don't want to have to root against Skip Schumacher within the division. So, yeah, don't love that, but I think it's super smart, and it actually would be like crazy awesome as a baseball fan to see Skip Schumacher with the young and really talented organization that the Reds have. So, stay tuned on that. I'm sure that's just like the beginning of rumblings around the off-season speculation that we're going to hear around exciting manager candidates for the Cincinnati Reds. Here's what I think the Reds should do, and I don't know if this is just because I feel like they have like some more characters on their team than other teams, maybe some more personalities that might be down for this. I'm going to say the Cincinnati Reds need to go bobbing for apples. Have you ever gone bobbing for apples? I know I've done it before, but I can't remember when. I think I definitely did it because my mom orchestrated it. So shout out Kim Bird if you're listening. If you remember when we bobbed for apples, I just feel like I know we did this. We probably just like did it at our house because it's fun and fun makes things happen. And I feel like the Cincinnati Reds as a team are ready to make some fun happen here. Like, can't you just see Hunter Green, Ellie De La Cruz? We got to tie those dreads back, Ellie, and go bobbing for some apples. It's just going to build some team spirit, get some young, fun energy out. I'm sure you could make up all sorts of games with, competitions around who can get the most apples bobbed in a certain amount of time. So, yeah, Reds, get together, do that in October. Let me know how it goes. We're going to be celebrating your Roberto Clemente nominee, Brent Suter, who I just love as a player. I feel like I probably have talked about him before, but he's actually a Cincinnati native, so very cool to see that he got to come play for the Reds this season. And as a Cincinnati native, Brent frequently visited the PNG MLB Reds Youth Academy, even while he played for other teams. He made numerous trips throughout his career to speak and work with young athletes at this facility. Since he's joined the Reds, obviously his involvement with the academy has continued. His activities included a ribbon cutting ceremony for a new synthetic infield in April. And during the All-Star break, when everybody else was like taking a little vacay, putting their feet up, Brent was there with his family with the Reds Community Fund and USA Baseball Fun at Bat, where he pitched to kids and held a Q&A session. So even giving back during the season, during those few days off that they get, pretty awesome. He engages regularly with Make-A-Wish visits during batting practice. He presents a check on behalf of the team to the ALS Triple Play Initiative during MLB's Lou Gehrig Day, and he visits patients at Cincinnati Children's Hospital to take photos, just engage in conversations with them, and brighten up their day. You know, I talked about it last week, but I always love to see these guys who are doing things that are actually showing up in their community, especially with the limited amount of time that they have. I mean, the level of investment that it takes to operate at the level that they do for their profession, it's pretty impressive that they're taking the time to give back like this, especially during the season. In September, Brent will return to the hospital to read the children's book he wrote. He wrote a children's book, friends and fans. It's called The Binky Bandit. I think he has given interviews about this children's book. I would love to talk to him about it, but I just think that tells me a lot that I need to know about Brent Suter as a person, that he wrote a children's book and he's visiting children's hospitals in the community, reading his book, and again, just giving back, being there in any way that he can. Awesome. Love to see it. Brent, I hope you and the boys have great fun bobbing for apples this October. The Tampa Bay Rays are up next, and, ooh, man, I think the Rays, they have a lot of young guys, right? They have a lot of fun young guys. I mean, Richie Palacios, you know I'm a big fan. He's back off the injured list for this final week of the season, so good reason to watch if you've been checked out, Rays fans. But I think Richie P and the Tampa Bay Rays need to go to a haunted house because they just seem like the right kind of like young, excitable guys. Like, doesn't Dylan Carlson seem like he'd be really fun to scare? Yeah, I don't know. I feel that that's their bonding experience. They should, they can go have some fun, but I think you'd see all different types of personalities on that Tampa Bay Rays team if they went to a haunted house together. Fun fact here about the Tampa Bay Rays Roberto Clemente nominee, Jason Adam, is he doesn't play for the Rays anymore. He was actually traded, but he is still their Roberto Clemente nominee because, as you'll see, we're going to talk about, he has a lot of his initiatives that have taken place in the community in Tampa. So during the season, Jason Adam consistently sought opportunities to support Rays community initiatives. He has volunteered his time to support all kinds of nonprofit organizations. He was often the first player to arrive and the last to leave when visiting guests on the field were there for Rays Magic Mondays and the Tuesdays Champion programs. Prior to every Monday home game, the Rays host a player and coaches from Buddy Baseball, which is a league of their own, and St. Petersburg Challenger League. These are all non-competitive recreational leagues serving individuals with unique abilities in the Tampa Bay community. As part of the Magic Monday program, the participants join Rays players on the field for batting practice, and they serve as honorary coaches for the national anthem before and then get to enjoy the game in a suite. So Jason Adam, huge part of making sure that these guys, these groups of people, these kids had a really unique and special experience. In addition, these groups participate in the annual Rays Baseball Magic Clinic at Tropicana Field. The players, alongside their buddies, experience the magic of Rays baseball in various stations throughout the clinic, including a game on the field. Jason served as the pitcher for the Baseball Magic Clinic in 2023. He is, even when he's on the road, he is visiting Ronald McDonald houses, and he's also married to a gal named Kelsey, so she's great. And they are very passionate about International Justice Mission, which is a global organization that protects people in poverty from violence by rescuing victims, bringing criminals to justice, restoring survivors to safety and strength, and helping local law enforcement build a safe future that lasts. Again, super important and specific, something that is, personal to them that they've attached to and put their time and efforts into. So very cool to hear about. Thanks, Jason. Good on ya. Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox a little bit here because they looked like they might be deeper in the playoff conversation for a while, but alas, it is not to be. And the Boston Red Sox are going to be at home in October. So what should these guys do together with the extra time that they're going to have on their hands? Because, they probably were planning to be busy in October, but they are going to go to a pumpkin patch, which I also think they should go to a pumpkin patch and visit like a farm that has like animals, maybe like some goats and alpacas, maybe some mini cows, donkeys, something like that. I feel like the Boston Red Sox like need some baby goat snuggles, maybe some baby calf snuggles. I don't know. I just feel like they need it, but they also need to get some pumpkins. And I don't know, are they gonna carve jack-o'-lanterns or are they gonna like smash pumpkins in the street outside of Fenway? I'm not really sure. Depends on what direction the front office for them seems to be taking this off season. But I feel like there's a lot of good little farms like this that they could go to out here on the East Coast. So Boston Red Sox, get together, get yourself out for a little hayrack ride on a little farm, pick some pumpkins at the pumpkin patch, and leading the charge who's going to be there either way, probably going to help everybody who sucks at pumpkin carving to get better at it, is the Roberto Clemente nominee for the Boston Red Sox this year, and that is Sir Liam Hendriks. Liam Hendriks was interviewed by Jen McCaffrey of The Athletic, who covers the Boston Red Sox for them. And she asked him something along the lines of like, what keeps you so inspired to keep giving back? And he is quoted saying, "It's not that hard. Just don't be a dick." And I love that so, so much. Liam Hendriks, a man of the people. He has done all kinds of things. I mean, he used to play for Chicago right before he was with the Red Sox, but he's done all kinds of things in any community that he's played for around events that inspire kindness, because his kind of personal mission is how can we support those less fortunate, but also just show that this is the way we all can live our lives, and you don't have to have a ton of money to do it, and you don't have to be anyone special, which I think is exactly what he was saying with that quote. So he's hosted events for Chicago's Ukrainian village community. This has become a refuge for many families during the Ukrainian war and all that's been going on there the last few years. He works with local children's hospitals. He supports first responders in the community. And he's also become very active in meeting with and offering encouragement and experiences to cancer patients, even through his own diagnosis and treatment through last season, which just the way that, he handled that and was able to come back from it was absolutely unbelievable. But to see that he's been alongside, offering anything that he can to others along the way just says so much about who he is as a person off the field. And it's been nothing short of incredibly inspiring to witness Liam Hendriks. Super glad that he got that Roberto Clemente nominee this year for the Boston Red Sox. Well, my friends, we have made it to the St. Louis Cardinals, who are absolutely, definitely, positively eliminated from postseason contention. We knew it was going to happen, but it has happened. It is official. And I think what's really sad about it there's a lot of things that are really sad about it, right? Is they were better on paper, record-wise anyway, than last season, but they weren't really like those underlying metrics. I did an episode of Talking About Birds with Nate last week, so I'll link that episode in the show notes if you're a Cardinals fan and you'd like to listen to it. It was really fun to catch up with him, and we talked about even more of these Roberto Clemente nominees, some of whom I'm not even going to mention today, so you can dive deeper into that along with all of your weekly Cardinals news. But we were talking about how it's kind of rough because yeah, the underlying metrics show that like they weren't really any better. They just had a better record, but the front office can spin that however they want. I think we were excited going into last season thinking like, okay, the silver lining of this absolutely tragic 2023 season is that it's going to have to be an overhaul. They're going to have to make some big changes, take some more risks, and they quite honestly didn't. They did some really specific things, but in my mind they still kind of did the bare minimum. And now it seems like, I don't know. I'm just kind of expecting the messaging from the front office to be in this offseason that we took a step in the right direction and we're going to continue to try to bolster the pieces that we already have, and we're still not necessarily going to see a ton of change. But that being said, of course, if you are a Cardinals fan, you know that the front office is certainly going to be in transition here as well. We've had the director of player development is retiring. We know John Mozeliak, president of baseball ops, is likely in his final season coming up here, either 25 or 26 with the team. So approaching the end of his tenure. And, it's quite likely that we'll see that transition of power start sooner rather than later. I'm just not really sure what it means because at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think John Mozeliak is the one to blame when he has very specific instructions of the money that he has to work with. So I don't know. I hope that we'll see enough change. But what I think the team might need to do, since none of that is really in their control, is I think they need to find themselves into a corn maze together. Not only do I think there's a lot of fun guys who would have a great time, like kind of like escape room vibes. Like I feel like they'd be a really fun group to do an escape room with. Who else would you rather be in an escape room with than like Lars Nootbaar and Michael Ciani? Throw Brendan Donovan in there. I want to see Jordan Walker's like head just, above all the corn stalks, trying to scope it out for everybody. Yeah. But I also think like they need to find their identities as players, some of them, but also as a team, because their identity cannot be this team who just constantly is playing tied or one-run games. Like, that's not an identity. There was no consistency with even how they lost this season, and that was kind of even more frustrating than the previous season. I guess the consistency you could say was a lack of offense, but again, when you look at that lineup on an ideal day, it doesn't scream that it should have this level of offensive struggles that they had. So find yourself in a corn maze this October, my St. Louis Cardinals, and see if you can find your way out together, stronger, because I don't know that the roster is going to look terribly different than it does, that 40-man, than it does right now next offseason or next season. I'm not gonna hold my breath for it, but I think if I don't know, we got to do the best we can to work around it. So maybe some character building, some team building in the corn maze out there. Another reason that it's really sad and hard to see the Cardinals miss out on the postseason again is, we've got our leaders, our franchise cornerstones here in Nolan Arenado and this year's Roberto Clemente nominee for the St. Louis Cardinals, Paul Goldschmidt. So let's not dwell on the sadness that is those two guys maybe not playing together for the Cardinals next season. We'll see. We've got plenty of time to talk about it this offseason. Let's talk about Paul Goldschmidt and his amazing efforts that have earned him this nomination. So Paul is one of those guys, kind of like Mike Trout, who has his hands in so many things, who just seems to have this incredible capacity for, not only being one of the best players of his generation on the field, but supporting all of these different efforts and just being a guy who can be present and really show up even on game days. So he supports fundraising efforts for the ALS Association in St. Louis and Muscular Dystrophy Association. On June 25th, 2024, Cardinals Care, in partnership with the Gateway Region YMCA and Boniface Foundation, unveiled the Paul Goldschmidt Miracle League Field at the new YMCA Adaptive Sports Complex, which is obviously funded by Paul Goldschmidt, on the campus of the South County YMCA. This field provides a cushioned, barrier-free surface and dugout to provide accessibility for players with disabilities. Paul also hosts a free baseball clinic for area Little League players and Redbird Rookies participants to help teach skills to young athletes and encourage parents and coaches to have a healthy attitude toward youth sports. Oh man, that's actually like... It's sad, but it's super important. I have a friend out there who is also a huge Cardinals fan who works as an umpire for Little League games, and I see his posts all the time. He also has young kids, so he's in there in the thick of it. He gets it as a parent too, but I see him posting all the time just about the level of anger issues and things that he sees from the parents towards, these Little League umpires. And that obviously passes on to the way that the children are behaving on the field as well. So that's just a very high level take on that. But Paul Goldschmidt, who else could you think of? I mean, there's no better guy than I can think of that has like his head just wrapped around that calm, cool collectiveness and the perspective of like what really matters in this life. Paul freaking Goldschmidt. So yeah, that's just, again, super high level snapshot. We talked more about Paul Goldschmidt on my episode of Talking About Birds that I did with Nate. That's linked in the show notes, so you can check that out. But very, very deserving of the nomination. And this is his second year in a row being nominated. I would not be surprised if Paul Goldschmidt is the Roberto Clemente winner in 2024. I don't know. He might be my pick right now, and I don't think that's bias. We'll see. This next one is a good one too, and it's the Chicago Cubs nominee, so I'm not biased there. But let's talk about what the Chicago Cubs need to do now that they are eliminated from postseason contention, just right here behind the Cardinals. There's still a chance that the Cardinals can end with a better record this season than the Cubs, and I'm just praying. That's all I have. That's all I have to hope for. But I think the Chicago Cubs need to pitch a tent out in the woods. They need to head up to Wisconsin, and they need to go camping. Craig Counsell needs to take his boys up to his motherland of Wisconsin, get back up to Wisconsin, Craig, and take the boys camping. And really, I pulled this out of nowhere other than Craig Counsell looks like a park ranger to me. And so I just feel like he looks like a camp, like he would be leading the Boy Scout camp or something. And yeah, the Chicago Cubs, it's just like, that's what they should do. They need to go up and soak in some of those Craig Counsell vibes that he left in the Milwaukee area. I think it seems. How amazing is it that the Brewers lost Craig Counsell and Pat Murphy gets this chance, longtime bench coach for Craig Counsell, and he's probably National League Manager of the Year. We'll talk more about the Brewers in weeks to come because they are going to be hot in the postseason action anyway. And Craig and the Chicago Cubs are going to be camping in the beautiful woods of Wisconsin. The place in Wisconsin that I would personally, I'm going to be honest with you, I've never slept outside in a tent. My husband really wants me to do that because he loves to do that. Do you go camping? How do you go camping? There's a lot of different ways to go camping. I think the Chicago Cubs should do the big canvas tents that are on platforms, so they don't have to sleep on the floor. They zip up. They got a little extra protection, but they're still roughing it because they're outside. That's what I'm going to suggest for you Chicago Cubs. I don't know if I would even do that. I just don't think I would sleep well. I'd be afraid and paranoid of animals and things I can't control. I remember I slept in a tent outside on again, probably, I think it was definitely elevated, not on the ground, at a Girl Scout camp when I was probably 12 or 13. And I was terrified the whole time that, I was even sleeping on a mattress thing, a little spring, little pad mattress. I was terrified the entire time that a raccoon was going to eat my toothpaste. It was a very specific fear. And this was before, I had the internet to give me these ideas. So I don't know where I got that from, but I was very, very afraid that specific thing was going to happen, that I was going to wake up and a raccoon was going to be sitting on me eating my toothpaste. Let me know if that's ever happened to you, or if that's a real concern, and how you would go camping if you're going to go camping. Would you only go in a camper? Would you only go if you could stay in a cabin? Like let's go. Let's stay in a cabin that locks, that has a shower in it, that has a flushing toilet, and I'm there. I love bonfires. I love going hiking for hours outdoors, but like I just want to sleep somewhere where a raccoon is not going to eat my toothpaste. That is my preferred camping experience. But yeah, so my whole point of the story was to tell you to go camping at Devil's Lake. If you're anywhere near Madison, Wisconsin, or you can drive there or whatever, Devil's Lake, that's where I met my husband. The area that he was in when he was doing a show up there, and that's how we met. Anyway, you can listen to that episode if you want to, but Devil's Lake, absolutely beautiful. That is where the Chicago Cubs should go camping. Okay. Roberto Clemente nominee for the Chicago Cubs is none other than former Cardinal himself, Patrick Wisdom. This is a cool story. I'm going to tell you a story of how Patrick Wisdom specifically got involved with St. Jude's, which is kind of his primary charitable organization. But 8 months before Wisdom made his major league debut in August of 2018, he had an experience where he met 6-year-old Braxton, who ignited a lifelong commitment to supporting pediatric cancer research and the children and families that are affected by this horrible disease. So Braxton was receiving treatment for, let's see if I can say this, medulloblastoma, which is a rare type of brain cancer at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. So he visited AutoZone Park, where the Memphis Redbirds play, which is the AAA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals, where Patrick Wisdom was playing at the time. And Patrick served as Braxton's host for that day. He got to bring him into the clubhouse. He took him to batting practice. They spent a good amount of quality time together. So this experience left a real impact on Patrick. It reinforced the realization for Patrick. He said in an interview, quote, "Life is precious and it's out of your control." Tragically, Braxton passed away in May of 2019, and in response, Patrick Wisdom embarked on a mission to honor this young child by raising awareness and resources for St. Jude's, the esteemed institution that cared for Braxton during his 18-month illness. He began by designing a line of t-shirts, hoodies, and autographed trading cards. He donated the proceeds to benefit St. Jude's. And this is, again, when he is just really starting his major league career. So just really starting to get the kind of money that can make a difference and give back. And he's already fully in it. And Patrick is known for wearing one of these t-shirts in nearly every interview that he does to generate interest in sales. He is now a regional ambassador for St. Jude, and he also works with Big League Impact, which is Adam Wainwright's charity, on the road, where he volunteers at shelters, and he is a leader for encouraging his teammates' participation as well, which is hugely, hugely cool. So love to hear about all the wisdom that you are imparting on the Cubs organization, Patrick. Excellent. Man, sometimes it takes having an interaction or experience with someone who has such different circumstances than you to change your whole perspective. We could all take that lesson with us today. Could be, completely different than this interaction of Patrick having an experience with a young child who is dealing with illness, but again, somebody who is just in such a different part of life, such a different experience, different things are important to them for different reasons, but we don't all have the same opportunity to necessarily cross paths with different walks of life regularly. So I would encourage everyone to see if you can put yourself in a position to interact with people who come from different backgrounds or have different life circumstances than you for whatever reason. There is an insane amount of perspective that comes from just being aware and open to the fact that there are so many different types of people and walks of life. When I think about people who have like very extreme views or really specific stances on things that they're just completely unwilling to waver on, we all know these people, regardless of what your specific opinion is. Like, just, we're not even talking about that. Step back and look at it with me and say, like, I know this person who has such a different view on something than I do that I would never even have a conversation with them about it because I know it's not worth my time or energy. If you know someone that has, such specific and intense views on or stances on anything, it has to be because of personal experience that they have had, but it also has to do with a serious lack of perspective of any experience other than their own or what is different than theirs. So they might go to a job where the demographic of people that they're interacting with every day are super similar to them. And anyway, I just think it can be kind of dangerous and ultimately sad. You just don't get as much out of life and realize all that there is out there if you're not able to interact with people who are different than you. So it can be a hard thing to be aware of if we do not open ourselves up to it, but it's so valuable to glean that perspective and pass it on. And that's what I'm going to leave you with today. On peace, love, and baseball. We talked about these teams, hopefully gave you some inspiration for some fun fall activities. Get them on your calendar. Maybe you will see the Cincinnati Reds bobbing for apples because you know that whoever they are recruiting for their manager next season, Skip Schumacher, if he gets in there, that's going to be the first thing that he's going to have him do, because Skip and I, we're on the same page. You know what I'm saying, Skip. All right, my friends and fans, make sure that you're following along wherever you are consuming this podcast. Share it with a friend. We're just here for all the feel-good fall fun, and we're really going to amp it up with the coverage of the postseason. Do something special for episode number 100, which is coming up. But until next week, I hope you enjoy the last week of the regular season, and I look forward to enjoying some serious postseason baseball with you here at Peace, Love, and Baseball.